I had some pretty good coaching last night, and I find that if I yield only for a question or a point of order or a personal privilege, that I can hold this floor almost until doomsday. In other words, I've got a piece to speak. All right, sir, I guess I'll just have to speak to the people of my state from right here. And I'll tell you one thing, that wild horses aren't going to drag me off this floor until those people have heard everything I've got to say, even if it takes all winter.
Half of official Washington is here to see democracy's finest show, the filibuster. The right to talk your head off. The American privilege of free speech in its most dramatic form. The least man in that chamber, once he gets and holds that floor by the rules, can hold it and talk as long as he can stand on his feet.
Maybe the single best example and explanation of what a filibuster is, and by the way, a great movie. Or at least that explanation you heard from the old-time radio guy is supposed to be what it's about. But the filibuster, a Senate maneuver by which individual senators can literally block legislation, has come a long way since Mr. Smith Goes to Washington premiered back in 1939. What was once a noble, if often futile, stand by a senator has now become not only commonplace, but a tactic. And it's one of the reasons why Congress gets so little done. More bills are filibustered than not, which means it takes 60 votes to pass anything and not the 51 votes that the framers always intended. And today, senators don't even have to stand and talk ad nauseum to block a bill or even put their name to it. They send a letter anonymously, and they don't even have to be in D.C. to do it. Andrew here. We got a chart that shows how cloture motions, and that's Senate speak for how you try to block a filibuster, have gone up and up and up over the years, more than doubled since '89. And as everybody can see, just a few years ago, almost nothing was ever filibustered. And these are only the times when senators have even bothered to try and even break this thing.
Yeah, more often than not, you get a filibuster on a bill and it just dies.
Okay,
it just languishes.
Something happened today, though, that it's not a panacea, but at least it's a step towards sanity, right?
And I'm not so sure, Rich. I mean, we've been talking for some time. We're hearing that we were going to have filibuster reform. Harry Reid was saying all this obstructionism from Republicans and we're going to get it. We got a deal between Reid and Mitch McConnell today that it speeds up the time by which you get past a filibuster if you vote it that way, and it also eliminates the filibuster on things like judicial appointments. There's a backlog of hundreds of judge spots that haven't been filled because the Senate can't get these judges approved because they keep getting filibustered. But it doesn't make big changes. You still need 60 votes to break a filibuster. There had been hope that that would come down. There was talk of reinstating the Mr. Smith rule, that you have to stand there and keep talking if you want to filibuster.
At least you put your name to it.
That went down in flames. There were other proposals that would try to mitigate some of the power of the minority, which again is the design of the Senate. It's set up so that any one person can stop the will of everybody else, or at least delay it. But it hadn't been used to this level, and so they're really stuck.
What surprised me, Andrew, was Harry Reid had enough votes here. He could have pushed this thing through if everybody was with him. But not every Democrat agreed that this was the right move.
There's two good reasons why you want to be careful when you change the rules. The first one is on the short term, which is you do that without Republican consent, and you're not going to get any cooperation from Republicans for the rest of the term, and you've got 2 years left in that term. That's not a great working environment for getting stuff done. The second
not that it's great now.
Right. The second explanation, the second reason, is the long-term view. Harry Reid's been in the Senate long enough to remember when Democrats were in the minority. You go ahead and you ram home changes in the Senate rules while you're in the majority. You know what? 2014 is probably going to be a better year for the GOP than for the Democrats. If the Democrats find themselves in the minority, it's easy to then go even further.
We had on last night Chris Shays with us. So this week we had him on. And he said in the break, he was talking to a freshman senator at the time, and he said, how do you like it? Being the minority, expect the guy to be like, all right. And he says, I love it. I can stop anything I want, and I don't even have to put my name to it. That's not what the Founding Fathers intended.
And it's not what the Founding Fathers intended, and it's not the way the Senate played the game for a long time. You saw in that graph, if we can bring that up again, Ralph, it was used less than 10 times for most of the 20th century in any session, which is a 2-year stretch of Congress. It's only in the last 15 or 20 years that it's really been escalated. If there was more shame in blocking a piece of legislation, maybe it wouldn't be done as much. If you doled out the number of filibusters so that each side could only do it a few times in every 2-year cycle, that would stop some of this problem. But now, not only is there no shame in filibustering or in individually blocking it, you'll be celebrated by your side. You'll go on MSNBC or on Fox News and be treated like a hero for standing up against the machine of the opposition.
It is so messed up. Andrew, thank you. We'll be right back. Everybody stay with us.